They will tell you about the gods of thunder, the gods of war, the gods of fire. They will celebrate Orishas that shake the heavens with noise and spectacle. But ask them about Olokun, and suddenly the room falls quiet. The stories are vague, the answers hesitant, the eyes unsure whether to reveal too much. For Olokun is not merely a deity. Olokun is a mystery, a force too ancient, too deep, and too powerful to be spoken of lightly. This is the Orisha who dwells in the deepest part of the ocean, whose name means owner of the ocean, whose presence is felt in the silence beneath the waves where no sunlight can reach. Olokun holds secrets older than language, treasures richer than gold, and knowledge that has frightened even kings and priests. But why has Olokun's full story remained hidden for so long? Why is it that among the pantheon of Yoruba deities, this divine being remains the most veiled, the most misinterpreted, the most misunderstood? Is it because Olokun's power is tied to forces that modernity cannot measure? Is it because those who sought to control Africa's spiritual past feared what Olokun represents? Unshakable wealth, unbreakable wisdom, and untouchable spiritual sovereignty? Or is it because to truly understand Olokun is to stare directly into the abyss of creation itself and find that it stares back? Today, we pull back the tide. We will journey from the surface of story into the abyss of forgotten memory, unveiling the truth about Olokun not just as a mythological being, but as a cosmic force that continues to govern wealth, transformation, and psychic depth. We will trace Olokun's origin before time was measured, explore the mysteries of their gender and form, dive into their sacred rituals and symbols, and hear the forbidden myths that colonialism tried to bury beneath the surface of history. This is not a summary. This is not a retelling. This is the full descent, layer by layer, truth by truth, until we meet Olokun face to face, in the dark, in the silence, in the place where all beginnings and all endings meet. You have heard of the Orishas, but you have not heard everything, not until now. Long before the world was shaped into continents and rivers, before the sky met the sea or the gods had names, there was Olokun. Olokun did not arrive. Olokun was always there, silent, formless, infinite. In the earliest moments of Yoruba cosmology, when the universe existed as potential and energy, Olodumare, the supreme creator, breathed divine intention into the oceanic depths. From those eternal waters, the being known as Olokun emerged, not as a child of the sea, but as its sovereign, its architect, its essence. Olokun was not born in the way we understand birth. Olokun is water. Olokun is depth. Olokun is mystery made flesh. It is said that when the Orisha Obatala descended from the heavens with a mission to create land, he found that the world was only water, vast, endless, powerful. That water was Olokun. Before the earth was molded, before humans were formed, before laws and rituals took shape, Olokun ruled a kingdom without borders, a kingdom without sound, a kingdom where every secret of creation was stored in stillness. And when land was finally formed by the gods, it was done not in rebellion against Olokun, but in harmony with them. For even the land knew that it must bow to the sea. In some traditions, Olokun is not seen as male or female, but as something beyond both, a divine presence that takes form according to the will of balance. In others, Olokun appears as male in certain coastal regions, particularly among the Itsekiri and Benin, and as female among the Yoruba and in diaspora traditions such as Santeria. But what remains constant is Olokun's power, immeasurable, unchallenged, and rooted in primordial memory. Olokun existed when the world was still breath. Olokun remembers what we have forgotten. Many believe that Olokun once attempted to rise from the depths and flood the world in fury, demanding the return of a lost balance. Only the intervention of the Orisha Ogun, who built chains to restrain the ocean, and Obatala, who restored peace, kept the world from being swallowed whole. Yet, this story is not of defeat. It is a warning. Olokun is not to be controlled. Olokun waits. From the moment creation began, Olokun held the deepest secrets of wealth, healing, death, and rebirth within the ocean's abyss. While other Orisha walk the earth or soared in the sky, Olokun remains submerged, watching, waiting, shaping from below. Even today, every wave that kisses the shore is a whisper from Olokun, a reminder that the ocean came before us and will remain long after we are gone. To speak of Olokun is to speak of fluidity, of a force that cannot be confined to shape, name, or even gender. In a world that loves to define and box its gods, Olokun remains defiantly undefinable. Olokun is sometimes spoken of as male, sometimes as female, and sometimes as neither, as both, as something altogether beyond human comprehension. Like the ocean itself, Olokun changes depending on how you approach. From above, the sea appears calm or violent. From below, it is endless darkness and light. This is the nature of Olokun, a divine being whose form is as deep and layered as the abyss they rule. In Yoruba tradition, Olokun is often revered as female, particularly in the context of spiritual healing, abundance, and motherhood. In this form, she is the embodiment of the womb of the world, a mother of mysteries who cradles lost souls, grants fertility, and governs the hidden treasures of the sea. Her energy flows through the hands of priestesses and herbalists, through rituals of renewal, and through sacred waters used for protection, cleansing, and prophecy. In this feminine form, Olokun is not loud. She is silent power, quiet judgment, deep understanding. But in regions such as Benin and among the Itsekiri and Edo peoples, Olokun is remembered as a powerful masculine spirit, strong, wealthy, commanding, a divine king of the ocean depths. In this form, Olokun wears coral regalia and sits upon a throne of eternal wealth, guarded by spirits of the sea and feared for his rage when dishonored. This Olokun brings royal order to the spiritual and material realms. His word, when spoken through his initiated priests, cannot be undone. He does not plead, he decrees. Both forms are true, both are sacred. For Olokun is not bound by our need for binaries. They are gender as spectrum, power as fluid, form as transformation. And herein lies one of the great truths of Olokun's mystery. Like the sea, they reflect what is shown to them. They mirror the seeker. The one who approaches with questions finds answers in riddles. The one who approaches with arrogance finds silence. The one who comes seeking power may be tested with madness or riches or both, for Olokun gives nothing easily. This divine duality has made Olokun a central figure not only in Africa, but across the diaspora. In Cuba, in Brazil, in the Caribbean, Olokun is called upon by those seeking both protection and prophecy. In some rituals, she emerges from the sea cloaked in cowries and white, glowing like the moon reflected on water. In others, he appears as a great king, crowned in red coral, commanding winds and currents alike. But in all places, Olokun remains whole, complete, sovereign, divine. Neither god nor goddess, but the ocean that holds them both. To understand Olokun's identity is to surrender the desire for strict answers. It is to embrace the truth that not all divinity can be named in human terms. Olokun is not a symbol of gender fluidity. Olokun is the source of it. Olokun is not confused about who they are. We are the ones who cannot yet see far enough into the water to understand. Olokun is not a god you approach casually. To call their name is to summon the force that governs the most unpredictable element of all, the ocean, vast, deep, calm one moment, and violent the next. But Olokun's dominion reaches far beyond waves and salt water. Their power stretches into wealth, healing, spiritual depth, prophecy, and madness. To understand Olokun is to know that they are not just the ruler of the sea, they are the hidden engine of reality's deepest currents. The first and most widely known domain of Olokun is wealth. Not just money in the form of coins or banknotes, but wealth in its truest, most ancient form. Abundance, fertility, prosperity, divine inheritance. The cowrie shell, once used as currency across West Africa, is sacred to Olokun. In fact, the depths of the ocean are said to be filled with treasures that only Olokun can reveal, and they do not give them lightly. To receive wealth from Olokun is to have passed through trials of worthiness, patience, and spiritual discipline. It is said that when someone receives unexpected riches, or survives poverty to reach prosperity, Olokun has opened the gate beneath the sea and allowed a fragment of that infinite treasure to rise. But the ocean gives, and the ocean takes. Just as Olokun brings wealth, they also bring madness, not as a curse, but as a test. Olokun's waters reflect your true self. If you are not ready to see it, the reflection may break you. In Yoruba cosmology, those touched by deep visions, those who dream vividly, those who speak in tongues or fall into trance without warning, they may be marked by Olokun. The deity resides in the liminal space between sanity and spiritual clarity. Many who walk too close to the depths without proper guidance find themselves lost in dreams they cannot explain. Others, however, come back with knowledge no book could ever teach. Olokun is also a keeper of secrets. They are the Orisha of the subconscious, of the hidden world beneath what we see and say. They govern dreams, psychic visions, spiritual awakening, and ancestral memory. In divination rituals, especially those of Ifa and Marandalogan, Olokun is invoked when answers are needed from the deepest layers of the spirit world. They reveal truths no other deity dares to show. And when they choose to speak, their messages come like waves, slow at first, then sudden and undeniable, crashing through your understanding and leaving only truth behind. It is said that Olokun controls not just the physical ocean, but the spiritual ocean, the vast space that exists between the worlds of the living, the dead, and the unborn. In this unseen realm, souls float like particles in water, waiting to be reborn or called back. Olokun guards the gates between reincarnation and forgetting. They decide what must be remembered and what must be hidden. This is why many spiritualists who work with Olokun report sudden bursts of ancestral memory, the unlocking of dreams, or strange pullings toward the sea. It is not fantasy. It is the call of something older than logic. Those who serve Olokun are not ordinary priests. They are chosen by visions, often through dreams, sickness, or near-death experiences. They are initiated not with loud proclamations, but through sacred oaths, deep meditation, and rituals performed far from the eyes of the uninitiated. Once marked, these individuals become bridges, speaking on behalf of a deity whose language is silence, depth, and pressure. They are healers, diviners, guardians of wisdom too powerful to be spoken carelessly. In all things, Olokun's gifts are double-edged. Wealth, yes, but also responsibility. Knowledge, but also burden. Vision, but also madness. To walk with Olokun is to live with the sea inside you, to feel the tides of fate pulling on your spirit, and to know that some truth cannot be explained, only carried. The rituals of Olokun are not performed in haste, nor are they easily shared. They are ancient and deeply guarded, passed from elder to initiate in whispers and shadows. Unlike the fiery ceremonies of thunder gods or the loud feasts of warriors, Olokun's rituals are quiet, deliberate, cloaked in water and mystery. They are offerings made in silence, dreams interpreted by candlelight, altars arranged with the patience of centuries. To prepare a space for Olokun is to prepare a doorway between worlds. One does not rush such work. Olokun symbols are everywhere if you know how to see. The cowrie shell, once used as currency and spiritual armor, is perhaps the most sacred. Each one is said to hold a prayer, a memory, or a message from the deep. In ritual settings, they are placed carefully on altars, sewn into garments, or cast during divination sessions. Their white curved bodies speak of purity, ocean, and the wealth of the unseen. Alongside them are beads of blue and white, the sacred colors of Olokun, representing the ocean's surface and its terrifying depth. Sometimes silver or coral is added, symbols of royalty, wisdom, and power drawn from the ocean floor. The altars of Olokun vary across cultures and traditions, but their essence remains the same: water, shells, silence. A bowl of seawater might sit at the center, surrounded by items drawn from the ocean: sand, fish bones, driftwood, smooth stones. Offerings may include white food, coconut, yam, or silver coins. And prayers are spoken not in loud chants, but in meditative, intentional breath. Olokun is not impressed by theatrics. They listen to what is said in stillness, and they reward the one who is humble enough to wait. Dreams are among the most powerful forms of communication with Olokun. Those marked by the deity often experience water dreams, swimming without effort, drowning and rising, walking through oceans that reveal secrets beneath the waves. Some hear names whispered in languages they do not speak. Others receive prophecies, visions of things yet to come. Visions so vivid they leave the body weak by morning. These dreams are not random. They are messages. They are tests. They are warnings. When Olokun sends a dream, it is a current pulling you into a deeper layer of your own destiny. Prophecies connected to Olokun are often layered and non-linear. A vision may come in fragments: a fish, a wave, a child, a flame. And only the initiated know how to weave them into meaning. In some traditions, it is believed Olokun has revealed the rise and fall of empires, the coming of floods and droughts, the betrayal of kings and the awakening of heroes. But these revelations are not given freely. The one who seeks prophecy must first show balance, devotion, and clarity of heart. For the ocean sees everything, and Olokun only shares with those who can carry what they are shown. Olokun's colors are more than decoration. They are vibrations. White represents purity, calm, and spiritual depth. Blue represents clarity, depth, and emotion. When worn in ritual, these colors align the body with the currents of divine energy. In some ceremonies, practitioners are dressed head to toe in flowing white garments, their faces painted, their heads wrapped, moving slowly to the sound of waves and rattles. In others, the color red may appear subtly, representing the raw power beneath the calm, the warning that not all waters are safe. To serve Olokun is to carry a piece of the ocean within you. It is to live with spiritual depth and emotional intensity, to speak carefully, to move with purpose, to honor what is hidden. Every ritual, every symbol, every color is a key, not just to Olokun, but to yourself. For Olokun teaches that the greatest secrets are not always beneath the sea. Sometimes they are hidden deep within your own reflection. There was a time when the name Olokun was spoken with trembling reverence, when entire coastal communities aligned their lives with the rhythms of the sea and the spirit who ruled beneath it. But then came the tide of conquest, not by water, but by ships filled with men who came to erase what they did not understand. Missionaries and colonizers arrived with Bibles in hand and contempt in their eyes, and they were terrified of Olokun, not because they believed in the Orisha, but because the people did. In their crusade to convert, control, and colonize, they tore down altars and ridiculed rituals. They saw Olokun's duality, sometimes male, sometimes female, as monstrous. They called it perversion. They feared the fluid nature of this deity because it could not be confined to the strict molds they brought from Europe. They did not know how to deal with a god who could rule the ocean and the soul at once. And so, they did what colonizers always do with what they cannot control. They silenced it. The myths of Olokun were deemed dangerous, too powerful, too dignified, too rich with autonomy. These stories were not weak fairy tales to be dismissed. They carried laws, cosmologies, and blueprints for liberation. So, the colonial schools stripped them from education, the churches declared them demonic, and the scholars of the West cataloged Olokun as folklore, nothing more than an aquatic legend among primitive people. But the people knew better, and they remembered. Those who preserved the truth did so at great cost. They carried the stories in coded songs, in riddles, in ritual dances hidden within festivals repackaged as Christian holidays. They hid Olokun behind the names of saints and tucked the deity's symbols into altars disguised as family shrines. In Brazil, Olokun was fused with Nossa Senhora dos Navegantes. In Cuba, veiled behind Our Lady of Regla. In each case, the spirit was never lost. It simply wore a new mask, waiting for the time when it could rise again without fear. But perhaps the most dangerous thing about Olokun, to those who tried to erase the Orisha, was not the rituals or the wealth. It was the independence. Olokun answered to no hierarchy, no emperor, no priest who had not been chosen through sacred rite. This Orisha stood outside their system, a sovereign power of the deep. Olokun could not be owned, bought, or bent. And that made Olokun unforgivable in the eyes of empire. Even today, many descendants of the Yoruba, the Benin, and the coastal peoples of West Africa have never heard the full story of Olokun. They do not know the dreams their grandmothers once dreamed, the visions their ancestors once received, the sacred oaths once sworn beneath the moon and sea. But Olokun waits, in the dreams of children, in the pull of the tide, in the stories being recovered by a new generation willing to dig past the lies, to dive into the depths, and to remember. Olokun has never shouted for recognition. Olokun does not need statues or fame. The Orisha of the deep is beyond human craving for attention, beyond the rise and fall of cities, kings, and digital gods. Olokun waits in the depths, in silence, in motion, in dreams. Even when the world turned away, even when the colonial fires tried to burn the memory out of the people, Olokun remained, in the tides, in the womb, in the echoes of a name spoken softly before sleep. Olokun never vanished. Olokun submerged, and still today, the ocean speaks. Those who listen hear the voice of Olokun in their bones. They feel it in the way the sea pulls at their spirit, in the way dreams reveal truths that cannot be explained. They feel it in the way wealth can arrive like a wave, unpredictable, immense, divine. They feel it in the way silence can become a presence, and in the way deep knowing can break through madness to become wisdom. This is how Olokun moves, not with violence, with gravity. To know Olokun is to know that the most powerful forces do not rise with noise. They rise with depth. They shape you from within. They test your ability to hold the truth. And they reward you only when you're ready to carry it. Olokun gives wealth not just to make you rich, but to see if you can remain whole beneath it. Olokun gives knowledge not to make you wise, but to see if you can survive the weight of vision. Olokun does not give what you want. Olokun gives what you can handle, and then watches as you grow or drown in it. Even now, as the world turns faster and faster, as traditions crumble and illusions rise like foam, Olokun watches, deep, unbothered, eternal. The old rituals are returning. The dreams are getting louder. The spirit of the ocean is rising, not in water alone, but in memory, in truth, in reclamation. The descendants are waking. The Orisha of the deep is no longer hidden. Olokun is not past. Olokun is now. Olokun is waiting. The only question that remains is this: will you listen? If this story stirred the waters of your spirit, don't let it end here. Like, subscribe, and share this video. Let the current carry it to someone else who needs to remember. The ocean never forgets, and neither should we.